I'm Natalie and this is James, and this is our home, Zephyr. We have been sailing around the world for the past 4 years, and now we have got a couple of stowaways on board. Meet Flint and Kira, two puppy Weimaraners that are joining the adventure. Subscribe and welcome to our channel, Sailing Zephyr.
When the sun's out, the waves are down, and the wind's up, and your boat's absolutely flying, sailing can seem absolutely epic. But of course, there are always those days where nothing lines up and everything seems to go wrong. So let's take a look back at some of the not-so-good sails that we've had on Zephyr. First up, Azores to Spain, 942 nautical miles.
Bye-bye, Azores! There it is behind us. Until next time.
Sails are up, we got.
I wonder how this night will be. The apple does not fall far from the tree. She said I almost died a week ago. I lost my wheel, I thought I'd let you know.
$925 miles that way to Cadiz.
The first day of our journey to the Mediterranean is lovely and peaceful, and we get to enjoy some more sperm whales migrating.
The corridor, some would say they've seen me here before. Do we need to go this far? We do know who.
Well, we've got 15 to 20 knots just forward of the beam, and we are sailing at well over 6 knots at the moment. We're having great sailing conditions. Seas are pretty chill, maybe a half a meter. Boat's balanced really well. Autopilot's hardly even having to work. So we're having great conditions. We haven't had great sailing conditions for a really long time. So yeah, we're loving it. We left San Miguel, Ponta de Gata, about 2 hours ago, and we're not quite heading the direction I'd like to go, but we're doing pretty good.
But we should have known that real nice weather does not last long, and we soon ended up with these conditions that crept up on us at sunset and only seemed to get worse during the 7 days at sea.
Do we need to go this far? We do know who we are. Can we make this even better? Somewhere close about. Ooh, let's find out.
It's all okay. It's day 4 of this leg of the trip, and we have had a few problems with our stanchions. So the stanchions outside, the bases have been leaking. We've had to pull the microwave right out because there was a heap of water, salt water coming in through there.
What Natalie's explaining here is quite serious. The stanchions, which are the supports for the lifelines around the vessel, are starting to leak on the port side. This is happening because we are getting large waves washing over the decks. What makes this especially dangerous is that the water is leaking into our electronics cabinet and other areas where there is lots of electrical components.
One of the toilets, and that's the space for it there, and we've got another towel there, and we'll have to figure out once we get to Cadiz. Conditions got so bad we stopped being able to cook at all. Sleep became a luxury if we even got a 10-minute nap in. And soon filming was next to impossible.
And like every other time we try to film waves, the camera just does not do it justice. These waves are in excess of 3 meters and slamming into us right on the beam.
Better, somewhere close about. Ooh, let's find out. I know I never felt this way. People change, but it feels like we stay the same.
7 days later and nearly 1,000 nautical miles, finally we see. Next up is our 125 nautical mile trip from Malta to Sicily. This trip was supposed to be pretty straightforward, an overnight sail from Malta to Sicily. We're barely into our sail before one of the worst storms we've ever encountered hits us. Have a coffee? I've just slowed the boat down almost to a stop because the storm's actually passing right in front of us, so I'm hoping it kind of goes across. I don't know how big it is, but there's so much lightning coming out of that thing right now. What you can't see in the background is there's actually 3 or 4 sailboats that are steaming directly at us running from this storm. What have you, so that's the last thing we need right now. You can hear the thunder, and I've seen so many lightning strikes already. What kind of day is this, Bob?
Stay inside kind of day. Like, movie on, popcorn. But we did a lot of that during COVID, so I think we're okay to not have that, right?
It's definitely a rug up indoor kind of day.
Yeah.
Fill everybody in what's going on.
There's thunder everywhere now.
We got lightning and thunder there.
Behind us.
This huge storm that we've been running around from.
On this side, and there's like a little bit of clear sky in front of us, which I don't know if we're gonna make it.
The lightning strikes along this ridgeline have been incredible. Maybe we'll go a little further. What we failed to capture on camera was hail the size of golf balls and a temperature drop of more than 15 degrees. Needless to say, we were unprepared. We are smack in the middle of the storm. Lightning all around us. Nat's busy looking up in a book to see what we do if we get hit by lightning. And we're racing back to our old anchorage because this is just absolutely hectic. Just picking it up, there's an actual water spout straight out there. This water spout was actually right in front of our anchorage. Well, we came back to anchor thinking we were going to be safe, and the wind is completely coming from the wrong direction, and we are getting absolutely smashed. We nearly actually hit the rocks because the wind turned the wrong way and we were too close. It's absolutely hectic in here. Nat's pulling there. We're actually just going to go straight back to the Malta harbor because it's too inconsistent right now. We got thunder, lightning. Malta, you're killing us.
And this Medicaid in particular is one of the strongest on a record. Now, a Medicaid is actually very similar to a hurricane out in the Atlantic. It's also very similar to a typhoon in the Pacific, but they form in the Mediterranean Sea.
That's right, we were smack in the middle of a Medicaid forming right over top of us. This was completely unpredicted by forecasters. This was particularly dangerous for us as we had to sail through fog and this torrential rain and more hail to get back to the Malta harbor. Fortunately, we had our track on the way out, so we were relatively safe. We were very fortunate in this situation as we knew of some friends that had actually lost their boat as a result of this storm.
We just had hail, which we did not expect.
I think the temperature dropped by about 10 degrees.
Yeah, and we haven't got our wet weather gear on because
I can't even stop myself.
we're dumbasses. This is not going to be good. We're probably both going to be sick now, and it's going to look like COVID, and it's not going to be. We're not out of it yet.
Huh?
We're not out of it yet.
No, we're not. But Rada, whatever that was.
That was crazy at one point. We couldn't see anything. It was just...
The bow, and that was it.
Yeah. It was insane. There's just no way of seeing anything at all.
No.
Now we've got some pretty big rollers coming through. But you can just see the light at the end of the tunnel. Just gotta get there. There's even birds flying.
Next up is our sail from Panama to Santa Marta, Colombia. Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday. Got the coffee in hand, and we're leaving for Sandblast, finally. So we're gonna stop in Sandblast for the night, check the weather again, and if it's all still going all right, we're going to head to Santa Marta. The route we're gonna take, it's not gonna be a direct line for Santa Marta just because of the wind and the waves. There's a lot to take into account. Around BRNKL, which is near between Cartagena and Santa Marta, it's a really dangerous area that gets like super high winds, big waves, lots of currents. So we're gonna have to figure out how to negotiate that, but I think we got a pretty good weather window. But for now, we're gonna go Sandblast, 45 miles. We're gonna pick up the hook now and get going. All right. So we have pulled up the hook really quickly here in the last anchorage we're in. There's just so many boats so close to us, and everybody's starting to move around. Being forced to leave an anchorage due to dragging boats and a small squall was not the start we were looking for this trip. We were already faced with a very difficult passage as we were going to be sailing for over 300 miles against the trade winds and waves, not to mention we had a 1 to 4 knot current against us. Pretty crazy.
And welcome to the start of James and Daniel's worst sailing experience ever. Poor guys never caught a break on this trip to Colombia.
That is it. Sails are off. We are beating into 2-meter waves, but there's a pretty good period between them, so we're not slamming really too hard, which is great. Just gonna settle in. We got 24 hours of this before we turn north. All right. Zephyr is getting beat right now. Oh, poor girl. Hopefully she just holds together until we get to Santa Marta. Anyways, we got 170 miles of this. Awesome.
The beating continues as they round the coast of Colombia.
Good morning, everyone. Day 3, and I think this has got to be the worst day out of all of them. We're doing 3 knots, 2.7 knots. We've got 1.5 meter sea straight at us. 30 knots of wind now, straight at us. And a knot of current against us, so yeah. We got a little bit of main out just for balance, and we're kind of just off the wind a tiny bit, so, and we're just off the, man, I'm so tired.
At the river mouth, things don't get better. In fact, it just gets worse for them.
Conditions actually got so bad that we were unable to record. What we've got for you next is the little bonus section of when we left Santa Marta for the Bahamas. So it is absolutely mental out here. We're supposed to have 15 knots, it's blowing 30, 35, maybe even a bit more. What makes departing Santa Marta, Colombia so difficult is the winds that come around the top. Often you can see winds in excess of 40 knots for weeks at a time. Fortunately, on this occasion, I knew it would not last more than 24 hours, and we would be through to more stable weather shortly.
Mental.
One of the more dangerous and scariest things I encountered on the entire passage to the Bahamas was when we were rounding the corner of Haiti, and we had multiple water spouts in front of us. Up next is our run from Norfolk, Virginia to Solomons, Maryland, where we actually had to bail out because things got so bad. Well, we just got hit 45 knots of rain and wind. The Bimini is taking a punishing. Holy crap! 42 knots! Having left the ICW, this was our introduction to the Chesapeake Bay. We had heard stories of crazy weather systems and other sailors breaking whisker poles. We had only been sailing for a couple of hours when this storm hit us. Our original plan was to sail north from Norfolk all the way up to Solomons, but our bailout anchorage was Deltaville, which is what we had to use in the end.
Well, we've definitely seen Chesapeake Bay at its wildest, I think. Storm after storm after storm, and just, I don't know, horrible conditions on the beach. I don't know, it's just been not what I was expecting from the bay.
In our little hidey hole, this was our bailout anchorage if things got a little hectic. Look at this. I mean, you could water ski in here. This is incredible. We often reflect on the more challenging sails we've had, as we find that those have become the best learning experiences. And after having only sailed half the world, we still got a long way to go. If you'd like to be a part of the journey and become a patron, go to the link you see here on the screen. Another way you can support us is by hitting that subscribe button.